Hi everyone. This is Grace. I'm going solo this season, as we mentioned in our first episode of season two for Fighting Club podcast, and I'm just very excited that I have my favorite brother, John, joining me as uh, our guest for Fighting Club. John, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
Um,
And
Same
I'm her only
here.
brother, so that's why I'm your favorite.
Yeah, you're my only and favorite brother. So can you share where you're zooming in from?
Yeah, absolutely. So, me and my family were based in Boston, Massachusetts. Well, actually, a suburb of Boston called Natick, Massachusetts, about 30 minutes west of Boston. So, we're on the way down to New York City.
Yeah, so we're close by. Just a 4 hour, 3 to 4 hour train ride. So we get to see each other regularly. Actually, we just saw them a few weeks ago, which was really nice.
Yeah, for Emma and Zion's birthdays.
Yeah, our niece and nephew. Well, excited to have you here. Never had a guest, definitely never had a sibling. I thought of you because you're very dynamic. Wanted to go into our sibling relationship, and because this podcast is about friendships, the question that I really have for you and me is whether you can have a friendship within a sibling relationship and just talk about our own relationship through the years as kids to our 20s till now.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, that's an open question.
Yeah. And I shared this at your wedding. I think your first wedding in New York, and I think I also shared it in
Wedding
your
to the
Seattle.
same person. We just had two wedding celebrations. It sounds like I had multiple weddings as well.
Yeah, one in New York City and then one in Seattle. I think definitely it is possible. And I am close friends with you as well as Joy, our younger sister. Um, Obviously, the dynamic is different. My relationship with you and then my relationship with Joy because of age. But I definitely looked up to you as a role model when we were younger. Um, and I remember, like a few stories to share, like distinctly, I think I was in middle school and I think it was like sixth or seventh grade, and there was this blue shirt that you really liked. And it
Mm,
was like a blue faded shirt. So at the
mm,
top, it was white, and in the middle, it was like light blue, and it got darker and darker.
mm.
And I remember you distinctly were like, I like that shirt. And then you were like, you should get it. And so then I got it. And so I really looked up to you, and I think you kind of used me as your like guinea pig, like, oh, I like this cologne. And I
Oh yeah,
distinctly
you're like my
remember,
Ken doll, my Asian
yeah,
Ken doll.
like
I could dress up.
Nautica, Latitude, Longitude. I don't even think they make it anymore. You're like, I like the smell, you should wear it. And so I got it. And then I wore it for like 2 years.
Did you like it
Um,
though? The
yeah, it was a
outfit
good
and the
smell. I
cologne?
did like it.
Okay. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. I don't
Yeah.
realize.
I definitely looked up to you when we were kids, and into high school, right? I went to go visit you when I was in high school, and you were a freshman at Boston College,
Yeah.
and we had no connection. Our family had no connection to Boston.
Yeah.
So when I went up there, it was like eye-opening, and I was like, "Oh, I want to go there now." And so
Oh.
I followed you to BC, and
Yeah.
then I ended up even majoring in the same major as you, international
Yeah.
studies.
And we had a class together.
We did, and we wrote a paper together. We wrote a group project.
We had a group. We It was a comparative theology class, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that group paper, I think was like 10 or 15 pages long, but
Yeah.
um, that was
Yeah,
funny.
I
I
was a
remember,
freshman and you were a junior.
yeah, do you remember the professor was like, everyone go around the room and introduce yourselves, and then I introduced myself, and then I think you were one or two people after me, and he's like, "Oh, that's interesting. You guys have the same name, last name, but he didn't want to assume we're siblings or something." And we're like, "Actually, we're brother and sister. You can assume that."
Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Same.
so definitely followed you and followed your footsteps, you
Mm,
know, academically, I took a lot of the same AP classes in high school. I went to the same college as you. We were there together for 2 years. We took a class together at BC.
Yeah.
Um, you helped me a lot with applying for different internships. And I
Mm,
distinctly remember when I was a freshman, or maybe it was sophomore, you invited me to a Sam Yoon for city councilor political race
yeah.
and go door knocking and
Yeah.
phone banking.
Yeah.
And I would never have done that on my own, but you
Yeah.
dragged me there and then I did it. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. This is different because
Yeah.
we were never exposed to that kind of thing. So, that's where I get my political advocacy interests from you.
Wow. Yeah, Sam, that's so interesting because Sam Yoon was the first Asian American Boston City Council member, and I just remember seeing a Korean American, um, Christian who's a Democrat running for office, and he was already in office but running for re-election and later for mayor. I was just like, wow, there's someone from our community who can do this, and so. I was so inspired, and it was really hard to convince other people at BC to come out and do stuff. But I guess because you're my younger sibling, I was like, "You're coming with me." And I think I brought my friend Hung out too once or twice, who was my room, one of my
I think
roommates.
so.
Yeah, but no one else I could convince. But I was so grateful. We do have photos of us posing with the Sam Yoon for city council sign. I remember the
Yeah.
white and red sign. That picture is somewhere. I wonder if we could dig it up somewhere.
Probably on Facebook somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Could share it on social media, but I really appreciated all of that. It was also good to have family, like have you in Boston since I didn't know anybody in Boston. We have no family ties there, and it can be very lonely. And then
Yeah.
we also went to the same church, which was really special too on Sundays. I think it was a little awkward sometimes when I would see you at like the parties, and I will walk into one of the parties in the dorms, and I'll see you dancing, and I'm like, okay, I'm leaving this party. It's awkward to see my brother at this party right now with my friends and his friends because there's a lot
Yeah.
of overlap. But it was fun.
Yeah. But strangely, like we actually didn't hang out a lot together,
Yeah,
like regularly. Cause I remember, we were there together for 2 years, but
yeah,
I only saw you like once or twice a week. That was it. I mean, you
yeah,
had a busy schedule, I had a busy schedule.
yeah,
So we had to really be intentional about hanging out.
yeah.
Because you didn't have a lot of free time. I didn't have a lot of free time. Um, yeah, but we had our small group, City Life small group on campus for the college students, and then on Sundays, I definitely would see you on Sundays,
Yeah.
and so that was good. And I made it a point to go to the same church as you because we didn't go to the same church in Georgia when we were in high school.
That's right.
So I wanted to go to the same church as you, so I made that decision.
Wow. I didn't realize that. That makes sense. Do you feel like you wish we had more time, like quality time together when we were in college?
No, not necessarily.
Fine.
No, I
Yeah,
think
that's busy.
yeah. I never felt like because I knew it was like the peace of mind knowing you were there. So if
Yeah.
there ever was an issue or a crisis, I know I could like call
Yeah.
you or meet up with you and no
Yeah.
issue. It's
Yeah.
just you were busy, I was busy. So yeah,
Yeah. Mm. Yeah, so that was our college days. After college, I do feel like our relationship it switched in some ways in our friendship because you got married pretty early at 25, right? And then you had a kid. Now you had a kid, and then you have three kids now. But you got married and had a kid before I got married. I got married much later. So I think I was really looking up to you in many ways during that time. I won't go into it too much because I don't want to share too much of my personal life, but it was healing for my own personal journey, going into marriage myself to see you become a dad, be a loving husband, and really just showing up for family in a way that I felt like we didn't get to see as much. And so as kids, um,
Yeah.
so I think I mentioned this to you before too, but when I saw you get married and enter into this like, marriage with him and who's an amazing sister-in-law, and then have Emma, I realized, oh, I actually want to get married and also have a kid too.
Yeah.
Seeing that in you, it was just something I didn't know I desired and dreamed of until you had that first.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, I think especially before we had Emma, when Emma was pregnant, I was worried because I don't feel like I had a good role model of our own father growing up. And I worried like, can I be a good dad?
Mm,
Can I be loving? And so I was really mindful of that, worried about it. But by the grace of God and encouragement from friends and family,
yeah,
and my father-in-law has been a great role model in seeing a
yeah,
good father figure.
yeah,
And we live with them now, both of them.
yeah.
So that's been a blessing.
Yeah, I mean, you are a good dad and you are a loving husband and father. We're all flawed human beings, so we make mistakes, but the way that your kids are fully able to express themselves and just be I think I heard that when kids are really loud at home and scream a lot and play a lot and fight, it's a sign of a healthy, loving family that they can fully
Mm,
express themselves at home. And that's what I see with your kids. Um, Emma,
yeah.
who's, grown up so much and is now 9, like she has a lot of sass and she speaks up. And she wouldn't be able to do that if she wasn't in such a loving, nurturing household that allows her to be that confident in herself. And so just seeing how the kids are growing up too, just is a testament to how loving and great parents you and Hemin are. So I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Yeah. Um, yeah, no, I think I married up.
Yeah.
Hemin has been a great mediator,
Yeah.
especially softening me to be more kind
Yeah.
to you as well as Joy and to Amma, especially in the early years of our marriage. So she's been that voice of reason
Mm,
who balances me out. And so I remember also, in the early days of our me and Hemin's marriage, you would be a good advocate
mm,
and for Hemin, right?
mm,
And then look out for Hemin and her well-being
mm,
and tell me to be nice to her. So
mm,
for you and Hemin, it was kind of a two-way street. You would
mm.
encourage me to be good to her, and then she would encourage me to be good to you,
Yeah.
and on my joy. So yeah, it's been a blessing.
Yeah. I mean, I even see that with how you guys interact with Trevor too, because when you're in the marriage and relationship, you don't see all the issues and the flaws and the things that you just do out of habit. But Trevor is so grateful that you guys are on his side when I do things that are just, not so nice to him. Call me out, and I appreciate that. But I think this is actually a good segue into like, let's talk about one of our fights because I think in any healthy friendship, there's always tension, disagreements, conflict, fights. Do you
Yeah,
want to get into it? We don't need to fight right now, but do you want to talk about
yeah,
one of our fights and how do we reconcile and what that's been like over the years, just working through conflict?
yeah. So I mentioned a little bit about our dad. So we're estranged from our father, who's in Georgia. Um, he left our family when I was in seventh grade, middle school, and he was back and forth. But then he was pretty much out of the picture through my middle school and our high school years and in college. So in the beginning, when we were younger, middle school, high school, I took Appa's side, and then I felt like you took Omma's side, and
Mm,
that was kind of the default.
mm,
And I really tried to keep our family together because I
yeah.
thought that was what everyone else was doing, and that's
Yeah.
what was the right decision.
Yeah.
Um, because I didn't want to see our family split up. But
Mm,
then over the years, I learned more talking with Amma, and then I obviously talking with you, learning more about what happened in our high school years, college years, and specifically, I didn't realize how much of the baggage and venting you took from Amma,
mm,
like when we were in high school, and you had mentioned like there were some times when she would, start crying just uncontrollably out of nowhere. And I felt like I was really insulated from all of that. I didn't see any of that. And so that really broke my heart later on. And then, so as I got older, my side, I guess, I started to see on my side more and kind of side with her more and defend her more. And then sadly, that also made me turn away, and it built resentment towards my dad more, right?
mm.
So I would say for a good like 5, almost 10 years,
Yeah.
I would always advocate for my dad, try to keep our family together, be the glue to keep
Yeah.
him in our lives.
Yeah.
But then I think after 10 years, I just, I guess my patience ran out, or,
Yeah.
I learned more. And
You're a kid when you're doing
yeah, I
that.
feel like, interestingly, I felt like our roles actually kind of flipped
Mm,
because I started resenting Appa, but
mm,
then you started coming around and wanting to show love and care, Appa. And so it was weird how the timing just kind of worked exactly. Like I started advocating for Amma more, you started advocating for Appa more.
mm.
And then we even had a big blow up fight
Yeah.
in Medford when we used to live there.
Yeah.
This is before Emma.
Mm,
I think it was Thanksgiving or Christmas. I think it was one of those holidays.
mm,
And then there were some issues with Amma, and
mm,
then you were upset at her, and then it was like a trigger for me. So then I blew up at you because you started attacking Amma or started being,
mm,
aggressive or mean with Amma. So then I yelled at you and I like shouted at you.
mm,
And I think that took you off guard.
mm,
And in that time, I think the reconciliation, Hemin was a big part of that.
mm.
That was like one clear instance of Hemin really stepping in,
Yeah.
calming me down, calming you down, understanding both sides,
Yeah.
and letting both of us calm down. And
Yeah.
obviously, in that moment, like you were dealing with a lot of trauma on your own. I was in with my own trauma with family stuff. So yeah, that's
Huh.
some examples. Yeah,
I kind of forgot about that. I must have suppressed that.
yeah,
But now it's coming back to me. I was just thinking like when I would visit you guys in Boston, Hemman would be bracing herself because of all the we got into a lot of fights and conflict. There are good times too, but we would fight a lot. But I
yeah,
think things shifted ever since really leaving a toxic job I won't go into.
yeah,
And I think that toxic job really put me in a bad mental place. But in addition to that, I think going through therapy, personal therapy myself, I think helped me really deal with my anger, the pain and the family pain that I didn't even know I had to deal with.
yeah,
And then also just going on my own healing journey and learning how to like deal with conflict better. So just reflecting on how we used to fight like constantly during a certain period. Maybe it was like 7 years ago or something like that, 6 years ago. And then I think in the last couple of years, it hasn't been like that. And it's been
oh
such
yeah,
a big shift, which has
yeah,
been not to say there still isn't conflict, but that kind of like fighting matches that we would have and like
yeah,
just blow ups. I think having therapy, working on getting out of a toxic work environment, like all of that helped, and then helping supportive spouses,
yeah.
I'm in and Trevor to like ground us and intervene and be like, okay, what's going on here?
Yeah, I actually distinctly remember there was a time when you were going through therapy. It was the beginning of your therapy,
Yeah.
and I was like fighting with you, arguing with you, and then I actually wanted you to argue back with me. That
Mm,
was my unhealthy way of, dealing with conflict.
yeah.
But you like removed yourself to
Mm,
de-escalate the situation, And then
Mm,
later you told me that was one of the like tactics
mm.
or, things that you learned in therapy. Your therapist said you need to de-escalate, you need to remove yourself, you need to
Yeah,
go for a walk, go calm down,
yeah,
and then come back and address it, when
yeah,
you're ready. And I was like, oh, I should do that too. um,
yeah.
yeah. So,
Wow.
I mentioned you're like a mentor and I look up to you, and you've been a great encouragement to me the past,
Mm,
ever since COVID, of
mm,
like seeking mental health counselor and therapy.
mm,
We tried it for a bit. Me and him did like couples counseling. I did one-on-one therapist for like
mm,
5 sessions.
mm.
And I see the value in it. So I know it in
Yeah,
my head, but
yeah.
now I need to take the steps to like get back into therapy. And
Mm,
um, so I appreciate the encouragement you constantly give me and keep me accountable. And we
yeah,
keep each other accountable
yeah,
to seek the help that we need, because when we get that self-care or
yeah,
that therapy,
yeah.
everyone around us benefits, our
Yeah.
kids, my kids, our spouses,
Yeah. Yeah, when
siblings.
we're
So,
healthier, the relationships around us get healthier too. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. I think when you know how important therapy is the first step. And that next step is probably the biggest hurdle is looking up the right person
yeah,
to go see. It took me a long time to go back to see um my therapist. I had to get a new therapist and I had not seen a therapist for 2 years, but then with everything happening in our country and the world and politics, I was like, I need to go see a therapist again. I think it took me like 4 to 5 months. I knew it in my head, but just like that, there's like a mental blockage, but I know you can do it. I think you just getting that encouragement really helps because the benefits are huge, for your life. I think it's the best investment that you can have in yourself and your relationships around you. But thanks for going deep with me on the conflict, and how we resolve the conflicts in our lives and how we're still working through it, in a healthier way. Another aspect of our friendship and relationship, I wanted to touch on is, are there things that are easier to share with each other as siblings, versus our parents?
yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I am close to our mom, but it's obviously a different dynamic. So, and I think I actually share more with you than I do with Joy as an older sibling.
Yeah,
I look up to you, as I've mentioned many times. So I would definitely talk to you more about things like career changes
yeah,
or a new job or a new
yeah,
position,
yeah,
your thoughts, basically a sounding board.
yeah.
When it came to dating, and
Mhm.
even, when I was before I started dating Hemin, thinking
Mm,
about marriage, um, any family issues, and specifically with Appa, I
yeah,
definitely talk to you, um, as opposed to Amma. And
yeah.
actually, I don't really talk to Joy about it either. Um, so I definitely talk with you about certain things that I don't talk about with Joy or my parents.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel the same way. There's something where it feels more you're more of a peer. You enjoy more peers that I can go to you guys, and I really trust your judgment and wisdom and decisions I have to make. And yeah, I think I go to you and Joy for different things, but I think I just remember sitting with you in your backyard in your picnic table 1 or 2 years into COVID. And I was still in my toxic job, and you sat me down. You're like, Luna, you're not doing well. You're bleeding out, and you're really on edge, and you get, upset really easily. This is unlike you. I think you really need to quit your job. This is really affecting all of your relationships and your own health. And I think for me, that was like, um, a light bulb moment to realize, oh man, this is bad. It's really affecting my relationship with my brother, my family. At the time, Trevor, who was my boyfriend. And I remember you telling me at that time, it was for me still early in our dating. You're like, "Oh, you're gonna marry Trevor. This is the guy for you." And I was like, "How do you know that?" And you said, "Oh, because in your lowest point, he's still here with you." And he's only dated me at that point and only known me at my lowest point. He didn't even know there was like a higher point. But
Yeah.
I appreciated that wisdom that I got from you. And with Joy, I when I have like conflict and like interpersonal issues, I call Joy because she is a really sympathetic, like listening ear and is able to like distance herself from the situation and give perspectives on both sides. Like I can get really emotionally flooded and I need to take a step back and she's able to give like compassionate, good advice, but from both perspectives. Like if me and Trevor get into an argument or conflict, like hear it from both sides. So I feel like as we've gotten older, I go to both of you guys more and lean on you guys more for um,
Mm,
advice and big decisions that I'm going through or trying to like work out internally myself. Because you guys also know me best more than anyone
yeah.
else, family. So I appreciate that kind of friendship, family relationship that I have with both of y'all.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
we talked about that during our Puerto Rico trip. Remember, we went around, it was Thanksgiving, so we went around and talked about what we're
Yeah.
thankful for. You know, and as I learn about different sibling dynamics in other families, I
Yeah.
realized that we're actually unique. But I
Yeah.
thought that all siblings were always close and very
Yeah.
close, and I realized that's not necessarily the case. And so we're again, I'm so thankful and blessed
Yeah.
that all three of us are close to one another,
Yeah. And
and
now we also include
our in-laws, yeah, our brother-in-law, sister-in-laws.
yeah, our in-laws, yeah, like our spouses are part of that sibling relationship too, and we've all gotten closer. And your wife Hemin has been like, my second sister I never knew I needed and wanted to have, and been able to be pushed even like with my health. Last time I visited you guys and worked out with her, she's so
Yeah,
strong, but just pushing like physically, and then like I think I've caught up with her just on our own a couple of times too, and just like talking through our own businesses and yeah, just like learning how to as peers. It's really interesting. Like the age difference doesn't matter as much as you get older because you have different things to offer as adults that you're going through. So for her as a working mom too, I feel like I'm learning a lot and yeah, just really grateful for all those relationships. But um, yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I'm just grateful also how we can stay in touch. And I think people might wonder, maybe not, maybe it's just me, like, how do we stay in touch? We're in different states. Like Joy's in Georgia, our younger sister, you're in Massachusetts, and I'm here in New York. But um, yeah,
yeah, I think definitely being intentional. And as you know, we talked about like I look up to you. So whenever I want to reach out to you, I do and make that
yeah.
intentionality of calling and we have actually a weekly like family talk on Zoom.
Monthly,
So
monthly.
that monthly. Oh, it
It
used
used
to be
to be
weekly during
weekly. It used
COVID.
to be weekly during
Yeah.
COVID. Yeah. Then it
Yeah.
became too much because we didn't have
Yeah.
much time. Yeah.
But definitely like making it a priority to hang out
Yeah.
during holidays, whether that's Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
Christmas, and you and Joy would make it a point to come for birthdays, especially early on with Emma
Yeah.
and Luke.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's harder now, but baptisms, you guys would come,
Yeah.
first birthday, second birthday, third birthday.
Yeah.
um, yeah, and so definitely appreciate that. You and Trevor being intentional, Joy, and now Forrest being intentional to hang out and meet up physically in person. So, last year was it September? We
Yeah.
all got together again.
In
Well,
New
this was
York.
actually before our Puerto Rico trip in New
Yeah.
York.
Yeah, that was
And so we
fun.
did sightseeing together in New York City.
Yeah.
Um, 9 of us, right?
That was
And
a
that
lot.
was Forrest's first time to New York.
That was
So,
so fun. Yeah. Being able to even visit the 9/11 Memorial Museum for the first time. It was really special.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
really
we actually did a lot of firsts, even though we've been
yeah.
to New York. I've been to New York like over 20 times.
Yeah. Yeah, that was cool. Seeing it with fresh eyes with a new kind of like a tourist like forest. So that was really great. Well, we're gonna segue now into the end of um our conversation to the useless talent segment. But before we go into that, I just wanted to thank you for this conversation and being vulnerable and sharing how much our relationship and friendship and mentorship has meant to you and also to me too. So I will continue cultivating and growing this garden of our friendship in our sibling relationship too.
Yeah, I love you.
Love you. Our special thing we were doing in season two, Priska and I talked about our joy corner and this lately just in the world it's just been very difficult and challenging with everything that's happening politically, socially, natural disasters as well. And I know people are have challenges in their own personal lives too. So we wanted to focus this season on fighting for joy and connection.
Yeah.
So for the joy corner, really thought that you would have a lot to share there. And enjoy it. So yeah, Joy Corner is basically a corner um to talk about things that bring you joy that you might not bring up ordinarily in everyday conversation or people might not know about you, but it gives you some kind of happiness and sparks of joy. So John, want to hear from you in your John's Joy Corner. Talk about what brings you joy and what are some spaces where you can be fully you.
Yeah, of course. So that's funny that you mentioned Joy Corner because we have a younger sister, our youngest, whose name is Joy.
Yeah.
And I would definitely say there's several places, but first and foremost, it's with family. So it's, with my wife and my kids, with my sisters. So you and Joy and Amma, our mom, and then my in-laws. We actually live with them in the same house here in Natick, Massachusetts.
Of
Um,
course, the
so,
brother-in-law.
like for example,
Yeah.
almost weekly, our middle child, Luke, he loves to dance, and we do a dance party just in
Mm.
the TV room. And he loves BTS right now, so he'll just play Dynamite, and then he'll start dancing by himself. And then Zion will join, and Emma will be in the background, and then sometimes I'll join. And that's really a joy corner for us, a happy place. But in addition to that, I think my friends are an extension of my family. So I have some childhood friends in Georgia. Shout out to Richard, Sanju, and Ali. I've known Richard since elementary school. Technically, I have known Sanju since elementary school, and then I met Ali in middle school through
And this is
Richard.
in the ATL, right? Georgia.
Yeah, so suburbs of Atlanta in Georgia. So, when I'm with them, Emma even noticed our oldest daughters, like, you just
Mhm.
seem happier when you're
Mhm.
in Georgia with your friends.
Yeah.
And I didn't even notice that until, him and my wife said it and Emma said it. And I was like, yeah,
Mm.
I'm just like back to my old self, my young self, my giddy self.
Mm.
Um, but I do have, a close group of friends in Boston as well, the church I go to. So City Life Presbyterian Church, I've been going there actually since college. And there's our small group that we went to when we were young adults and just a newlywed couple, me and Hemin, our Medford CG. CG stands for community group. So in that group, we really lived together, grew together through our young adult years. And so we really had a good sense of community. And I
And this
find a
is
lot of,
before you had any kids, right?
yeah, yeah.
Newlywed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in that group, we were all, or a lot of us were married couples or dating and then no kids. So similar life stage and spent a lot of time and, you know, being silly, being funny, just hanging out.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
love those
those are the
different.
different spaces where I can fully be myself. Those are my joy corners.
Yeah, I love that the Joy Corner is locational. So like where you live right now, you have that with your church community, obviously your family, your immediate family, and then your extended family, because we went to Puerto Rico over Thanksgiving with all the siblings and our partners and kids. So our Joy Corner, your Joy Corner can also be in other parts of the country too, which
Yeah.
is cool. Um, yeah, so I would love to also hear you share other parts in your Joy Corner. I know you're really into, I think it's called credit card stocking or something. Can you share more about
Yeah.
what that is and why that makes you so joyful?
Yeah, so I've recently, I would say back in 2024, so last year, I really took a deep dive into the points and miles hobby.
Yeah,
So me and my wife, Hemin, we have 20 plus credit cards, and we
that's a
have
lot.
um, a lot of it's through sign up bonuses. So when newly open a credit card, you get a big bonus chunk of points. Um, and so, yeah, that really gives us joy because I love traveling.
Yeah.
And I feel like with every kid, I have three kids now. We have three kids. With every kid, I felt like it was harder and harder to travel. But now, because I'm doing the credit card stack and the points and miles, I'm using my existing spending just more efficiently and effectively through the points and miles hobby. So I haven't necessarily spent more or using different money. It's the money I'm already using, but instead of, getting just 1% cash back or 1.5% cash back, I'm doing sign up bonuses and then utilizing those existing points and miles more effectively. So, just as an example, our family used to only travel once a year, like one big trip, one per year, and that was it. That's all I thought we could afford because many times we were paying out a pocket, not using points and miles. And now I actually did a check. Um, Last year in 2024, we were able to go on 12 family trips.
Wow,
And
just
that's
on
a
credit
family
card
just on
stacking?
credit card
Wait,
points and miles. Yeah. And that's when I say family trip, it was minimum five people. So me, my wife, and three kids.
yeah.
And then actually two of those trips was with seven people, my in-laws
Oh my
included. So
goodness.
five plus two. So, for example, we went to Cancun, Mexico. That was our big international trip. We went to an all-inclusive Hyatt property. As you mentioned, we also went to Puerto Rico. So we went to Puerto
Yeah.
Rico. That was nine of us, but
Yeah, that was
five
so
within.
helpful. Yeah, to get your insight on how to use our own credit card points to make the most of it and use it on a flight versus in the hotel room and figure out which
Yeah,
hotel chain gives you the most points for your buck, I guess.
yeah, and it was exciting to have you be willing to listen to the points of mile strategies because obviously, I mean, I was skeptical at first as well. So
Yeah.
it's healthy to have that level of skepticism. But yeah, once you see the good deals, I mean, I'm a sucker for good deals. I
I
love
know you've
finding
always
those
been
good
a
deals.
sucker. You've always like I remember when you used to work at Banana Republic and you got like the employee discount
Yep.
and for men you have better sales than the women's section do. So with the
Yeah.
employee discount it was like double discount for you, which you took advantage of.
Yeah.
Was great. But so why is it and how did you get into credit card stacking and how is it okay to have like 20 credit cards? Does that affect your credit score or um
Yeah. So I'll start with the last question. It's actually a common misconception. Um, Credit card applications, new credit card applications, initially, lower your credit score maybe 5 or 10 points, but then after a month or two, it'll go back up because you have increased credit amount and
mm,
your credit utilization
mm,
percentage goes down, which helps. Now, with that in mind, you have to make sure you're paying off your credit card payments, statement balance every month. So I don't
yeah.
carry an interest. I don't pay interest. I don't carry a balance.
You have to be on top
Um,
of it to pay
yeah,
off all of your credit card
yeah.
balances. Don't go
So
into debt. Yeah.
right, and don't overspend beyond your means.
Yeah.
So that's how, it is a lot to manage, of course, but I love doing it. I love the opportunities we have. As I said before, it really was a big mindset shift for me and our family because, as every Thanksgiving or Christmas we want to hang out, but
Yeah.
the expectation would be that we would host and you all would come because our family was,
So big.
five or
Yeah.
four people. It was a lot of plane tickets and
Yeah.
logistics to think about. But now with points and miles, I want to go, and now we have hopefully a family tradition with the siblings where,
Mm.
once a year, the nine of us go,
Yeah. No,
and our first trip was Puerto Rico, and maybe next year we'll
yeah.
go to Cancun or somewhere in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
But
That was so
yeah,
special to know that you don't have to break the bank in order to go on a trip as a family all together and stay at a hotel that's covered by points. So, yeah, Trevor and I had such a great time with everyone, and thanks to your joy of credit card
yeah,
stacking. Well, thank you. Hopefully this inspires other folks to find ways to save money, use your points. I know that you've been looking at different YouTube videos and social media folks, influencers in order to figure this out. But I hope that you create some kind of platform as well to do this. I know you talked about that, and that would be really cool. Because
yeah,
I know that you would do it in a way that is financially healthy and thoughtful, and ways for families to save money or individuals when they want to travel and enjoy
yeah.
vacation. So we're going into the useless ta talent segment. John, what is your useless talent? We would love for you to showcase as many useless talents as you want and talk us through it.
Cool. I have three that I can share. Number one,
Great.
I think is a pretty common one. I can roll my tongue.
Uh-huh.
So
I can do that too.
yeah, I was actually shocked. A lot of people can't do it. So not everyone
Yeah.
can do it,
I think it's a
but
genetic thing.
probably. The second useless talent is my nose is very stretchy.
What?
So like I don't know if you can like tell how stretchy it is.
Wait,
But
are most people's noses not stretchy?
no, most people I realize they're very like firm and it doesn't move a lot.
Oh,
But
interesting.
mine's like really. And then my last useless talent is I can touch my nose with my tongue. So bringing
Okay.
it all together.
Ew! Where did you learn? How did you figure that out that you had that as a useless talent?
I don't even know. Probably as a kid, and people were trying different things like trying to lick your
Oh
elbow,
yeah, look your elbow. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
being double jointed, which I'm not.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, thank
What
you.
about you? What is your useless talent?
Oh, oh, yeah, that's a good question. Well, I showed my double jointedness last time. It was this.
Okay. Cool.
Um,
I can do that.
it's straight and then you have to go like this. Oh yeah, you can do it too. I think I can I think I can whistle. Let me try that.
Yeah.
Wait.
Are you trying to whistle? Yeah. Nope. Nothing.
Can you hear that?
No, I can't hear anything. Nothing. Nope. You just look like
Okay.
a fish. I don't hear anything.
Yay! Useless. Can't even do it properly. Well, that's the end of our episode. Thank you, John, so much for joining me today. Really appreciate who you are and sharing all of the depth of who you are, your joy corner, and your amazing useless talent. So I love
Yes.
you. Can't wait to see you and the rest of the family very soon. But thank you so much for making the time.
Thanks for having me and being your first guest on Fighting.
Yay! And to all of our friends watching, fighting!
Fighting!